So once we've done our 3 to 5 minutes of cardio, what we're going to do is then move into some dynamic stretches. Okay, so for this we're going to need a broomstick. Okay, it doesn't need to be formally like this. You can use just any broomstick you have around the house. You just might need to be mindful that the width of it or length of it isn't going to be great enough to necessarily go all the way around with our stretches to start off with. For each of these first 2 exercises, we're just going to do 10 forward and back. Okay, so we're going to spread our hands nice and wide, and we're going to big shrug, pass that broomstick over the top. Just gradually work your way through the range. Okay, so make sure we're shrugging up just to get a bit of clearance. 10 times. Each time it gets a bit easier. Bring those hands a little bit closer. Keep that shrug happening. Go further. Okay, when you get stuck, don't go all the way around. Just then come back down and see if you can work back into that range. Okay, so slowly through that. Once you've done 10 dislocates over the top, we're then going to do big circles. So this one can be a bit tricky, so just make sure you take your time. So it's going to go all the way around, okay, into the lower back, and then all the way over the other side. Okay, you're going to do 5 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back the other way 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. From there, we then bring our broomstick down. Okay, and then we're just going to go through a dynamic yoga flow. So I'm going to use this space just behind me here. So we've got a few different positions to go through. Just take your time going through each of them. We're going to try do the sequence on each side 4 times just to get nice and loose, nice and stretched out. We'll get the heart rate up a little bit more, we'll warm you up a little bit more, but that's all that we're chasing to start off with. Okay, so I'm going to start from this side. We're going to do what's called an inchworm. Okay, so we're going to reach those hands down, stretch those hamstrings out, walk all the way out long, okay, into this tall plank. From here, dropping down, I'm going to squeeze my bum, lift the chest up, hold for a brief moment. From there, come back down, push back up into that tall plank, and we'll go left foot forward first. Doesn't matter which order you do it in. Alright, just make sure the foot's on the outside of the hands. We're nice and low through the body, back leg stays straight to start off with. I'll do the other rep from the opposite angle. From here, we're going to push our support hand. So the leg that's forward, we're going to lift that hand up to the ceiling, push the right hand hard into the ground for this one, then reach the left hand up to the sky, bring it back down, and then we're going to walk over into our pigeon, or we can drag our foot across. Okay, so with our pigeon stretch, we're trying to keep the hips straight. So to start off with, it might be hard to get your shin into that nice box shape. Okay, so if you need to tuck that foot in and then just hold that nice tall torso to start off with, and then as it gets a bit easier, we can drop into it. Okay, if it feels alright, just make sure you scan around. So bring your chest over your foot, over your knee. Okay, and then we're going to step back, and then we're going to walk back in. Alright, we're going to do the same on the other side. Come back out, and pressing up. Deep breath, squeeze your bum. Come back down, press up. Right foot to the outside this time. Okay, turning to the leg, lifting up, coming back down and into your pigeon stretch again. Right. So again, hips are forward, stay high to start off with, scan that chest over your knee and over your foot, find where it's a bit tight, and then just move into that stretch. First time on each side, just hold a little bit longer. Right. Just give an opportunity for a bit of tissue stretch, but not too long, so that way we potentially interfere with what we're going to be doing per session. So set that foot back, walk it back in, okay, and then we'll then do it another 3 times on each side. So each time it should get a bit easier, should need less time in each of those positions, or we might be able to get into more challenging positions. Once we've done that, we're then going to go into a downward dog. Okay, so on that last rep, as you start to walk back in, we're just going to hold that bum up high. Okay. Heels should be slightly elevated, hands should be holding equal weight between your feet and your hands. Okay, and then from here we're just gonna hold this position as we then go into a calf pump. Okay, so drop the heels to the ground, pump. Just do a few dynamic ones to start off with. Just doing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, keep that back straight. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're gonna hold on one side. So you can lift the foot up if you wish. Okay. Keep that leg nice and straight, a little bit of bend, then straight again. Alright, same on the other side, hold, and then bend, and then straight again. And then from here, what we're going to then do is keep our feet a little bit wider. We're going to try and go opposite toe touches, so 5 each side. Okay? If you can't reach the toes, just go to your knees. That's fine. Just try not to let the body rock. Okay, so no rocking. Keep that body long. Reach across. Push through the hand that you're supporting yourself on. Yep. 5 each side. And then from here, we're going to do 5 each side of the 3-legged dog. So we're going to lift the heel up to the ceiling, come back down. Try to keep the toes pointing at the ground. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Return to standing. Okay, and we should feel nice and flexible through those hamstrings. Okay, ready to do some hinging for our day 1. Alright, so prep for day 1, what we need is a broomstick, okay, and our stretcher band. I haven't quite got the same band as what you do. I will get one just so that way you can make sure that everything looks the same, feels the same. This band's a little bit more universal for some of the things that we will do, but otherwise the band that you've got that I asked Matty to set up for you, so it should be a mini band and a just one of the long loop red bands. Okay, they're going to be perfect for our exercises that we need to do. Okay, so with our first prep exercise, so day 1, we're looking at a lot of single leg hinging. Okay, so a lot of posterior work. So we're just going to go in through and drill that with the broomstick to start off with. All right, so we're going to get our broomstick first of all against our back. So we're going to have the top hand. I'll do it from the other way so you can see. All right, so top hand is in the small of the neck, all right, and then the bottom hand is in the lower back. From there, we're going to have our feet shoulder width apart. Okay, keep the head, the upper back, and the bum in contact with the broomstick, with the hands in the upper neck, and then also in your lower back. And then from here, we're going to just sit the bum back to the wall behind us, trying to keep all those points of contact in contact with the broomstick. Okay, we're just going to do 10 reps down the middle. Okay, to try to go a little bit further each time. Okay, really fight for that position to keep those points of contact. Okay, so 10 reps hinging the broomstick on your back there. Alright. From there, we're then going to do 20 band pull apart. So with the red bands that you have, or any band that might be of tension. So we'll ideally want to start around about shoulder width apart. Okay, then from here we're going to pull apart until we touch the chest. So I'm going to go a little bit wider. This band doesn't have the full stretch that we need. Okay, so all the way touching the chest and then come back together. What we're looking at from the back is shoulder blades come back and then pull apart, and then slowly come together, then let the shoulder blades come forward. Okay, back, pull, slowly together. So really emphasize, pull out fast, slow together. Okay, 20 repetitions. It's going to burn the back of the shoulders, it should feel, but otherwise if you feel it through the tricep, it probably means you're bending those elbows, keep those arms nice and straight. Okay, then the third exercise that we're going to go through is just a banded rotation. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have, ideally against the wall, be perfect. What you can also do is just get a foam roller or some object that can fit between your knee and that wall. Okay, otherwise, as long as you keep yourself nice and parallel to the wall, then we're doing what we need to. We're going to have our one hand holding the band against the wall. Okay, that hand does not move. The other hand will pick it at a resistance, and then we're just going to try keep everything staying in the same direction, so the hips and everything else stay behind. This hand's pushing into the wall, this hand's pulling us around that bend. Okay, so we're going to do 5, hold, breathe in, breathe out, come back together. Alright, hold, breathe in, breathe out, come back together. So 5 each side with those. Okay, second time through with our broomstick, we're then going to start to then work into our single leg hinging work. So we're going to put our hands, so depending on the length of your broomstick and what it looks like, okay, what we want to do at least is have the hand at shoulder height. We're going to stick the broomstick between our big toe and our second toe. Keep your chest up nice and tall. From here we're going to float the leg that has the broomstick on it, and then we're just going to let the body tip forward, keeping the leg and arm in contact, hold for a little bit, come back up, okay? So notice the angle of my knee as I go down, okay? I'm focusing on hinging at the hip, but I also have a slight bend in that knee, but the shin is mostly vertical, okay? So what we don't want to do is lunge, okay? So if the knee's coming forward, we're lunging, we're using those quads a bit too much, we want to keep it in the hamstrings and the glutes, so therefore we want to keep those hips nice and high, pivoting about the hip, nice and balanced, and then we're going to squeeze the feet and the hand together as we come back up, all right? Take your time on these ones. Again, just work your way through where you can get to. So if you can get to here before losing balance, come back up, all right? Build towards 5 good reps, okay? Take your time. 5 each side, all right? So that'll be second time through. What you'll also then do is another 20 pull aparts, and then another set of banded rotations. So just twice through in total. Only the first exercise, so the deadlift aspect with the broomstick is the only thing that changes during that prep piece, okay? The banded pull aparts remains at 20 for 2 sets, and then our banded rotations stay at 5 each side for 2 reps, or 2 sets. All right. Take your time, let quality over quantity dictate the pace that you move at. All right. And at the end, we're going to do some marching. So if you can do this in a run, that would be perfect, okay, as in make a nice straight line and march along that line. But otherwise, doing it on the spot is fine, okay? So essentially, even if you mark out 3 meters, we're going to go through this 3 times. So you're either going to just pogo, okay, so both feet together, just lots of little reps over 3 meters. On the return trip, I'll start from this side. We're going to curl the toes up, so we're grabbing the bottom of the shoe with our toes, and then from here we're keeping ourselves tall as we walk on our heels. All right, so we're pogoing down, right, and then we're curling the toes up and heel marching back. All right. 3 times through, each time with the pogos, try to go a little bit higher just to warm up those calves, getting ready for some jumping. Doing a bit more jumping over these next couple of weeks. So one drill I want you to do at the end of our marches is some drop jumps, or just catching ourselves in our sort of fall or catch position at the bottom of the jump. So what we're going to do is we're going to reach up nice and tall on those tippy toes, and then from here we're going to land it nice and loud and heavy, okay, with our arms reaching down. So we're going to drop, right, keeping our chest up and forward, okay. So our eyes, everything else is facing forward, tippy toes, and then drop, right. So the louder we fall, the more we're going to promote that muscular response to that ground reaction force. So it's going to get our muscles nice and primed, ready for that impact when we are jumping, right. So at the end of our heel marches and pogo jumps, we're going to do 3 sets of 5, okay? In the time in between, that's what you do any extra shoulder stretches, or if you're feeling a little bit tight through the lower limbs, okay? Have a bit of a time to stretch out some of your calf muscles, but otherwise, just make sure they're nice and short stretches. So any stretches, we're doing either dynamic for multiple reps, or we're doing really short stretches, no longer than 10 seconds, okay? So we're going to do 5, reach tall, drop, reach tall, drop, 3, trying to pull ourselves into the bottom, 4, 5. Alright, so what you should almost notice as well is that the position you finish in is also your squat position. Alright, we're going to build on these jumps over the next few weeks, eventually working towards a single leg pogo. Alright, but just focus on that landing mechanics more than anything to start off with. Will give us the correct preparation in progression towards those. Alright, so day 1, what we're going to be focusing on day 1 is our lower body hinge and our upper body press. We will still be doing some squats and some rows to then balance out the rest of the body, plus then some core work at the end. Alright. So to start off with, our first exercise is our single leg deadlift. So we're going to grab whichever of our weights is the most appropriate for this exercise. So for those that aren't too familiar with it, just take your time, We should have all warmed up with our broomstick doing the broomstick deadlifts. Okay, so if you want to, what you can do is incorporate that as part of your first set or for all 4 sets that we will be doing. Okay, so what we're going to do is make sure that we start off, bend the knees, pick up the kettlebell with one hand. Okay, we then stand on one foot. If we are using the broomstick, we're going to make sure that the foot that we're standing on, okay, so I'm standing on my left foot, I'm going to hold it in my left hand. So that's what we call ipsilateral, so same side. Okay, we're going to then press the broomstick out straight, so it should look exactly the same as what we just did before, but then with a bit of weight in our hands. So we're going to reach the foot back, shoot the bum back, keep the shoulder connected to the body, control down to where we can. You don't need to go all the way to the ground. Okay, push the floor down, make sure you push the foot into the ground, push yourself away from the floor. Okay, and that way we can then generate that tension that we need to then come up through that rep. Okay, drive up through. So make sure that you don't start by reaching down the leg. Okay, so chest up tall, eyes forward, push the foot back, get to where you can control, and then drive back through. Okay, you then repeat on the other side. So whatever you do on one side, you do on the other side. Okay, and then with making it harder, you don't need to necessarily go heavier straight away. So holding on the same side makes it a little bit easier because it helps to then load that hip a bit more favorably to promote a bit more stability. Whereas what we can do is hold it opposite hand, opposite foot. So in this case, I'm going to stand on left foot again. Okay, right foot sweeping back again, but I'm holding it in my right hand. And it's going to challenge me a little bit more through my hip because it's going to want to pull that shoulder around. Okay. So you can imagine if we're in this position, we're rotating that way, these muscles are working hard to keep my hip nice and straight, and then also try to push myself upright. Okay, so we can make it harder without going heavier. Just find which one works best for you for the rep range that we're aiming for, okay? And just making sure that the first set isn't so hard that we can't repeat it 3-4 more times, okay? So our single leg kettlebell deadlift is our first exercise. Our second exercise, which we'll be supersetting with, is our banded push-up. Okay, so push-ups as themselves might be hard enough as they are. Okay, so I'll show you the hard version, and we'll talk about regressions. So what we're going to do with our band, we're going to pass it around behind our back. We're going to then put our hands into a loop. So again, my band has individual loops for each segment. Okay, yours is a little bit different, but it should do the same. Okay, with the principles what we're aiming for. So underneath the shoulder blades, from here, we're going to go down into our tall plank or our push-up position, okay? And then at the top, we should feel most of that tension being on that band, okay? From here, we're going to lower ourselves down. We'll get easier or no tension, and then pushing up hard. So make sure we're 3 seconds down, and then explode up out of our bottom, okay? If we need to make it easier, we can go down to our knees. But ideally, if we need to go to knees, we just ditch the band to start off with, and we just work on building that push-up on our toes. Okay, so again, 3 seconds down, and then blow up, all right? With our hand position, what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're being athletic, okay? So you think about where we might catch or throw a ball from, it's going to be in this position here. Make sure those elbows aren't flared out. Typically, if the fingers are facing forward, okay, or even the thumb slightly more orientated forwards, we're going to be in a nice tight position. When we're pressing, we're thinking about pushing through the whole armpit and pushing ourselves away from the floor, okay? So keep lots of tension through the armpits, tight abs, but make sure you're breathing as well, okay? So we're gonna superset those. So what you might do is set up a timer. You'll do your reps on each leg with your single leg kettlebell deadlift, and then you'll do your push-ups and then rest for 30 seconds, and then we're gonna repeat that 4 times, okay? Your sets and reps will change each week with this exercise. So that's why I'm not explaining the reps in this video right now, but they will be published to you so you know, but then you know the exercises that you're doing as well. That's the most important thing to start off with. Okay, so single leg kettlebell deadlift, banded push-ups. Our second pairing is our goblet squat. So with our goblet squat, we're doing a pause goblet squat. Okay, so you can use either your dumbbell or your kettlebell depending on what pairings you have. Okay, and this adjusts the reps as you need to. What you might find beneficial is just having something you can elevate your heels up onto. That way we can just take away a little bit of that demand of the ankle range of movement. But as we build that capacity around the knee and the ankle, you'll find it easier to go onto a flatter surface to squat deeper. Okay, So I'm going to use my kettlebell again for this exercise. So from here, what we're going to do is hold the kettlebell up at the chest or dumbbell. You can hold it any way you wish. We just want to have it at our chest height, okay? Our feet are going to be a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, okay? And even if you want to, you can start off by sitting down to a chair or anything that's at parallel or just below parallel with our thighs, okay? So we want to try to get as deep as we can, and then nice and controlled. So we're going to do 3 seconds down, 2, 3. We're going to hold for 3 seconds, 2, 3, and then fast up, okay? Be really aggressive with that explosion up. So 3 seconds down, 2, 1, hold, 2, 3, up, okay? And then repeating several times, okay? So we're gonna have goblet squat. So if we're holding a dumbbell for the same exercise, it's gonna be the same position up at the chest. Just making sure as we go down too, that our elbows should finish in between our knees, okay? They shouldn't finish on or outside, all right? So with our knee position too, it might be favorable for you to go in front of a mirror just to learn and feel what it should look like. Just making sure as we come up or as we go down, the knees don't come in at all, okay? So our shoulder width apart foot position, toes slightly angled out, okay? And whichever way the toes are facing, that's where our knees are staying, okay? So we're not going outside the foot, so we're not pushing right up so our foot rolls out, okay? But we're definitely not coming in either, all right? So warm up, right, by doing a few squats if you wish. So our jumps after our pause squats are going to be a squat jump. So we're going to essentially just use the ground as a bit of a reference point so we know we're getting the right amount of depth. All right. So we're going to make sure that we keep the eyes forward, chest forward. We're going to reach our hands down. When we touch the ground, that's when we're going to jump. All right. When we land, I want you to think about that same as what we did in the warm-up or the prep, where we're landing heavy and we're landing loud. All right. So we're going down and then up. All right. Landing heavy and hard. Again, it just gives us that little bit of extra recruitment of the muscles, gets us used to that ground reaction force, gets us ready for when we do our bigger jumps in the future. All right. So we're going to be doing 5 squat jumps. So again, we're going to reach down, jump up. All right. If you can, if you're feeling up to it and you're consistent, all right, try and go straight down into your next one. All right, up. But that's a progression. So I'd rather you be starting and stopping rather than doing 5 consecutive reps, making sure each one's getting higher and higher. So we're going for height and hang time with a nice loud landing if we're starting. If we're doing multiple reps, we're absorbing that force and then redirecting it again. You know, they do get hard. Again, quality over quantity. Don't try and do successive reps if you're not quite stable. We want that trajectory and that direction to be vertical. So if we start moving forward, okay, it means we're pushing through those hips a bit more, we're throwing through the hips. We're gonna make sure that we're pushing through those legs. It should feel like those same squats we just did before the jumps. Our second exercise is a single arm row. So you can use your kettlebell or your dumbbell. We just need a platform that we can rest our hand on, okay? So we're gonna hand on an object, so either on a seat, so a couch, a chair, doesn't matter what it is. We want to make sure that we keep that back nice and straight. So make sure it's not too high so we're up here. We want that movement of that dumbbell to be horizontal. Yeah. Excuse the rubber truck, nice and authentic. Okay. So get yourself down low, and then from here we're pulling that dumbbell up to the side. Okay. So pick it up, square the shoulders, shoulder blade first, then arm, then shoulder blade. Alright. Take it slow, moving through the reps, just so that way we can get that movement nice and smooth. Okay. Alternatively, what you can do is just pull that shoulder blade back, keep the shoulder blade still as you then move the arm up and down. Okay. So that way we can get those shoulder stabilizers working hard, and then we can get that arm moving a little bit more independent of the shoulder blade, which is then slightly beneficial with regards to overall shoulder health. Okay, gets those lats working a little bit more, gets the other muscles around the shoulder working nice and well together, and then helps the shoulder blade remain fixated as the rest of the arm moves around it. Okay, so goblet squats with the slow tempo down and the 3-second pause, and then fast explosion up. Okay, and then we got our dumbbell rows, so again, equal reps on each arm. Superset them again, so that way you do your squats, do your rows each arm, 30 seconds rest, and then go again. Okay, if it feels easy, don't worry about the rest too much. Okay, and then just push the reps a little bit further on the goblet squat, most likely. Okay, just remember today is meant to be, or day one is meant to be more hip centric. Okay, and not so much knee centric. We've got lots of quads coming on day 2. All right. I'm gonna then go into our kneeling press. Okay, so with this one, you might want something to then put your knees onto, so a pillow or a towel. Using the kettlebell or the dumbbell again. Okay, we're gonna go up onto our knees. We're gonna step our knees out until we get a little bit of a groin stretch, and then we're gonna come a fraction in. Okay, keep the toes tucked under at the back. Bring the dumbbell up to the shoulder. Keep the abs and bum tight, and then keep yourself tall as we then press straight up to the ceiling. Okay, so we're going straight up, bicep by the ear, pull straight back down. Okay, so watching your front arm. So squeeze my bum, keep yourself tall, press up, come back down. All right. So a kettlebell and a dumbbell with that press is going to be different. So with your dumbbell, it's going to feel a bit more easier to then press, obviously because it's lighter as well. But if you are using the kettlebell, we can change the different orientations of that kettlebell to make it easier or harder. Okay, so the initial one is just doing a kettlebell press with that palm. So the handle's 45 degrees across the palm. So it's going between the webbing of your fingers and it's touching down on that bottom part of the heel of the hand. Okay, from here we'll also start more narrow, and it's going to be pressing up and then around. Okay, so doing that same action. If the kettlebell's a bit light for that, we can make it a bit more challenging by how we hold that kettlebell. So we can do a bell press. Okay, starts in the same position, pressing straight up. All right, we can do a reverse bell press with the handle facing backwards. All right, or we can do a bottoms up press. Okay, the bottom up press is going to be the most challenging because it's going to want to go every direction. Okay, so again, we can make it harder without necessarily going heavier. All right, so bear with me. If things get easy, we can modify them to make it harder for you, or hard enough. Okay. So we do reps on each side. So we're not supersetting this one with anything. This is going to be do your reps, rest, and then another 2 more sets. Okay. Then we got 2 more exercises. We've got our dead bugs, okay, and then some side planks. So I'm just going to set up our dead bugs. For that, we're going to need our broomstick, and we're going to need our band. Okay. We're going to anchor the bands first. So find something you can anchor it in. The alternative is that you can just tie a knot in the band, throw it in the jamb of the door, and that way when you close the door on it, it will stick nice and tight. Okay. Just let me know if you want to see that. So you're going to put your band, anchor the band around through. Okay. I'm going to put my broomstick about halfway through this one just because I know the band doesn't have much tension. Okay. And then I'm going to set myself up on my low back. Right. So lying on the back from here. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you from different angles. Just note, I might even ditch the band, okay, so that way you can see what I'm aiming to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our back flat on the ground, head back on the ground. We're going to bring the broomstick down so that way it's over our nipples, okay, or about mid-chest height. From there, we're going to then keep the back flat, bring the legs up, okay. The band's going to want to pull us up this way, so we're just going to create tension against it. It doesn't need to be hard, so for those that have done this one before, just remember it's not about how hard we're pushing here, we just need something, okay. So a bit of tension, keep those abs tight, breathe into our belly as we then reach the leg out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. We want to try and get 10 reps on each leg, okay. So again, the band should be then anchored above your head, okay, providing a little bit of tension, but not too much. So keep the back flat, breathe into the belly, okay, and then from there, cycling one leg out at a time. Slow and steady, wait for the other leg to return before then let the other one run out. All right. And then our last exercise, so 3 sets of those ones, and then our last exercise is our side plank. So I'm going to do from that side. Yeah. We're going to rest our elbow on the mat. We're going to either go bent lever, so bottom leg's bent, okay, so you can have that top one straight if you wish, but otherwise tuck it on as well, okay, or we can go straight. All right. So the longer the lever, the more hard it will be. So find what's appropriate for you. Even for the first week, what you might do is just stay with that bent knees and then progress up the next week, okay? So we're gonna do 3 sets of 30 seconds on each side. So 30 seconds work, 30 seconds rest, 3 times on one side, and then change and do it on the other side, okay? So we're gonna bridge up, make sure that we're straight shoulder, hip, knee, and we're pushing the bottom knee into the ground as we also then lift our hip to the ceiling. So we should feel our obliques working and the side of our hip, okay? So if we are doing the 2-legged or straight leg, okay, we're stacking those feet, the principles remain the same, shoulder, hip, knee, hips high, abs should be working, bottom leg should be pushing into the ground, okay? So again, 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds rest, do that 3 times, and then change to the other side. So 3 straight sets on one side before doing the same on the other side, okay? So that's day 1, team. So again, it should be more hip centric with a good upper body press, as well as then making sure that we get a good bit of movement and flexibility out of our goblet squats for our squatting. And then we've got some upper back exercises there and how to balance that out too, okay? Take your time, quality over quantity, making sure that we are meeting the brief when it comes to our time under tension and also our RPE, so our rate of perceived exertion, and that way we're not burning ourselves out in that first set and then doing too much too soon in the second and third, okay, or fourth. All right, so day 1, tick.